How's it going, everybody? Episode 9 of Hardpoints is back. We had the online Dallas homestand happen throughout this past weekend, and we're going to cover it for you on this episode.
It's
As
a home
always,
series,
guys.
Tyler. Homestands are for Overwatch. Thank you.
Shut up. You're annoying. My bad. You know what I'm talking about, dude. Reminder, folks, whatever platform that you're watching on or listening on, make sure you follow the podcast, Hardpoints, BTB. We're taking over. To get into this episode, though, we're going to walk you guys through what happened at the tournament, go through our predictions, show you guys the bracket, the results, the points afterwards, who fried, who didn't. Everything's going to be covered here. So to get into it, I guess we're just going to go through the matches on Group A and Group B, go down the line. I can throw up the graphic for you guys as well as we sort of walk through. One of you guys take it away.
I can cover like the Group A stuff. I don't know if we want to like surprises or upsets or just go through all of it. But what? Ultra beat Mutineers. Empire get out beating what? Gorillas and Ultra.
Toronto.
That's right, because Toronto got that upset over Mutineers, which was looking back at that, it's kind of insane how the final.
Marky B is like, we're one of the best teams in the world. We beat Florida.
Yeah, right.
I started dying.
And then Florida, they beat Gorillas, and then ultimately they got a rematch with Ultra to beat them to get out. That's how Group A went. Joe, you can take Group B away, buddy.
Paris started off hot. Well, I mean, they beat Seattle. Seattle lose on 2 Game 5s. No surprise there. Chicago, they smoke Minnesota. That's where the full sale comes in. Everybody was like, holy smokes. Yeah. And then Minnesota, they get out. Kind of what was expected. I think everybody had Chicago and Minnesota out of Group B. Group A, I think everybody picked Dallas. The second team is where we sort of changed. I think two of you guys had Florida. No, I had Gorillas. I thought I was gonna see a better Gorillas. I did not see a better Gorillas.
You saw a chimpanzee.
Well, no, I didn't. Didn't at all.
Wait, I picked Florida, right?
Yeah, I think you and Clint did.
Yeah, I'm pretty okay.
I think me and Joe had the same, and then you two had the same. I'm just falling further and further behind. I'm trying to take some risks, and they're not working, and it's not going well for me.
Dude, we watched Clint? We watched freaking Gorillas in the online scrim the other night. They played really, really well. I was like, you know what? Online, some of these guys are gonna be more comfortable there. I'm just taking the risk. I didn't know how good Florida was gonna be. They sure as heck proved me wrong. It's just like one of those teams. Even after they won. I don't know why. Maybe I had to see them do it like more consistently, but they have a final now and now a win. But I just look at that roster and I just say, I don't know if they're going to win. I have no idea. And they just keep doing it. They just keep winning games.
I want to talk more about them later for sure because it's interesting. Chris, take us through the semifinals, buddy.
The semifinals. That was Florida versus Huntsmen, which obviously, for some reason, Florida seems to be the Huntsmen's like kryptonite right now. Like they match up really well against them. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you have the Minnesota Rokkr and the Dallas Empire. Honestly, I thought after map 1, Dallas takes that map pretty convincingly, right? Against Rokkr on the map 1, or am I crazy? How did that series start? Now, never mind. I think I'm wrong now. I think I'm wrong.
I literally had the link up.
Oh, yeah, they won map 1.
Dallas did?
Yeah.
Was that the semis? Okay, so yeah. I thought they were going to win after that map 1. And then, I don't know, like the Rokkr is just one of those teams, like we kind of talked about them beforehand, like in the previous episode. They're just one of those teams that when, like, if they're playing well, they're like one of the most fundamentally correct teams. We always come back to that. And they just looked really good in the semis. And
oh, wait, no. Map 2 was with it. They beat them on Piccadilly. They like smoked them on Piccadilly, but they lost they lost all the respawns.
That's right.
Was it Rokkr that won map 1?
Yeah, Ramaza Hardpoint.
Okay, yeah.
Because Assault went off. Yeah. That was the one I was like, oh,
wait,
what the heck?
He started like 22-4 or something like that.
Yeah, something wild.
We talked about it for the grand final, how Florida had just won it and Rokkr had just lost it for Piccadilly. That's right.
Yeah. But regardless, I thought like Dallas was looking really good. I thought they were going to take that, but the Rokkr just played like lights out on that Sunday, like especially in that match. But yeah,
they were all close maps. It was like a 30-point hard point, a 10-point dom. I think the final hard point was like 40 or 50. Like they were close maps. But yeah.
They're just good, man. Those guys are good.
Very good. I think moving forward, we talked about predictions a little bit. We talked about the Florida win. How much? So we had like the whole Prestinni thing getting benched happen, right? Pharaoh comes in. Pharaoh was absolutely amazing. Just looking at his stats and the impact he was able to make, like with slaying and everything like that. Like, I think it's safe to say that Prestinni's going to stay on the bench, right? So like when we talk about potential trades and things like that, Prestinni is just sitting there. I would say when you talk about like entry players, aggressive players, he's got to be towards the top of the list in terms of talent in the league, right?
Definitely.
So so like the win's great and everything, right? The roster's looking really strong. Pharaoh comes in, he's dominating. That's great. They kind of like just keep going. Now you have an even more power play to like, do you just hold Prestinni? Do you try and use him as trade bait? Do you try, what's the strategy now? Because you're kind of in the driving seat if you're Florida.
Ultra could probably use an 11th player. They could pick up Prestinni.
I mean, you could talk about
cycle in.
You could talk about Seattle needing somebody potentially opting LA.
Yeah.
For me personally, I hang on to him. I mean, why help? Why help another team?
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
Like, why help another team? And what if things go wrong once again? It's one of those things where if something goes bad amongst this roster, you need a change. Some of these other teams who signed horrible subs and players that will never get played, but they have Prestinni. It's like if things really go wrong and he wants to play, they have him, and so it's great for them.
So Jay, you said you were still worried. We talked about it. Oh, is that uncontested? The point which hasn't aired yet. Well, you sort of discussed the fact we talked about live when we were casting it about how they still have like a little bit of an issue. You feel like because you have like Skies as an AR, Mox as an AR, Pharaoh's kind of naturally an AR. Like I don't know, maybe he comes in for Mox at some point, like Prestinni for Mox, which maybe.
Well, I think that's what everybody thinks, but Mox played really well.
He did. I'm just saying, like to your point, like who knows? Like a couple tournaments from now, maybe that's something that if they're going to get better, needs to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Also, the fact is like if somebody wants to trade for Prestinni, you would imagine looking at his lineup, he has the heaviest contract, right? Like there would have to be a big haul because you would have to take that contract on. I don't know how all that stuff works, but I don't know how the salary cap works and all that, but you'd have to move a lot to get Prestinni on your team.
That's a good point. Yeah, when I was going through the list, I thought about that, and I'm like, you have such a talented player just hanging out now. It's like, what do? You don't want to help other teams. You don't want to, but you also, it gets to the point too. It's like you don't want to trap the player either, especially with someone with that much potential. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward if he's just going to hang out, and then it creates the same problem that I've talked about before. It's like, are players going to like? I'm not going to say like Prestinni's going to lose all of his talent all of a sudden, but sitting on the bench for months, you're not going to get better. So it's like it puts these players in these interesting situations where it's like, is this going to affect their standing within the community? Because you know how the pros are; they have like this thought, right? When they go to like roster building and things like that, like will that eventually hurt someone like Prestinni, or does it not matter yet? It's probably still too early, but just something that I thought about.
Yeah, I guess it's like. Because I imagine from Florida's point of view, right? Because he's tweeted out like, I really want to play. Like I want to play again. They just win. It just feels like I think Florida kind of knows that, or maybe some of the players feel like, you know what, this guy sort of, I don't want to say gave up on them, but put them in a tough situation. Yeah. Like we don't know what was going on personally with Prestinni, how he was feeling.
Makes it tough.
But from when you're on that team, you have to think about like, well, either A, this guy doesn't want to play with us, or B, like, yeah, maybe we're not the best team, but it almost feels like he's sort of giving up on us to try to get out. And
yeah,
I think them just like picking up Pharaoh just kind of proves like they're just it probably motivated them.
Well, if you said, if you didn't want to play with him, that's not getting fixed. And if it was like a mental thing or he was struggling, watching them win probably didn't help that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be crazy. Like, Chris, you don't have any like insight to what's going on there, right? Does anybody really know what the hell's going on?
No, I have no insight on that. I don't ask questions, So like
I was curious if like I wasn't even sure if something was public at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, no. The only thing I would say is just like if it was me, like obviously you don't want to trap the guy, you don't want to keep him for no reason, but at the same time, like I don't know exactly what happened, but I feel like like if he wanted to not play anymore or whatnot, like you kind of keep him around, like. If things go wrong, you have him to either trade for another player that can fit into this spot and like obviously have one of the players drop down. Like there's so much you can do. So I think Florida's in a really good spot. I don't think they need to keep him trapped, but there's a lot of positive outcomes like on both like sides of the party. I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Good things to talk about. The next thing I want to bring up is like why do you guys think Florida is able to beat someone like Chicago consistently? You guys have any specific takes on that?
So Clint and I have talked about this a bit. Like, it's even weird when you look at this tournament. Like, if you looked at this Florida lineup, and I think it's what's really special about this team, I think, because they're not even good at search yet. Like, when you looked at this lineup, you're like, you had Pharaoh, you have Havoc, you have Mox, who like they were on that Gen G team who were great search players.
Yeah.
Their search was not great. The way they were beating teams, just like they beat Dallas, they were destroying them in respawns. I mean, mopping teams in respawn. Their search isn't even, it's below 50%. So I have no clue, because if you told me how are they beating Chicago, it'd be 2 searches in a respawn. Like that to me is I thought the formula would be. And they're just saying, no, that's not it. Like
even like Chicago, though, they might be a better search than a respawn team right now. Like they're
yeah, but we wouldn't think that talent wise, like slang wise.
I know. But like think about 2 events ago when it was like Envoy tweeted out after the event, like we don't know what the hell we're doing in Hardpoint, or we don't know what we're doing in respawn, whatever the tweet was. Then after this tournament, they knocked out RC's tweets, basically saying that they don't know what the fuck they're doing when they're playing. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Huntsman. But it feels like they sometimes think that they just don't know how to play correctly, or they know how to play correctly and don't do it when it matters. But dude, watching that match for Florida, like, I mean, I want to gas Havoc if we get to that. I mean, how good he was at rotating. As good as he was at rotating, Chicago were that bad at rotating.
Right.
Like they
were super fundamental.
Yeah, totally. And it's like Crowder's brought it up. Like Minnesota's a team that's extremely fundamentally sound. So when you have players that like they might slightly underperform, but they're still going to keep those games close. Maybe sometimes like Chicago doesn't play that same way, and you have like a Formal, for example, underperform, and those glaring issues are going to come through way more often. You're in situations where you need to go the right way, make the right play, and it's not happening all the time. And they had the role change, right? Like our city's over to main AR. Is that it? It's too early to say. And I know a lot of people just do the online cop out, but over time we need to see like how well our cities is doing, but it potentially might be at the cost of Formal not doing well. I think he's going to pick it up. It's Formal, right? Like he's going to bounce back, I'm sure, just fine, but I feel like we have to bring it up.
Does anyone know why they did it?
Yeah, that was my first thought. When I heard that, I'm like, wait, why? Like what?
Because RC's was a great MP5. It was a great flash.
Yeah.
And I know the MP5 is a sort of do-it-your-all vector type gun. But when you look at like Formal and Scump and they're good teams, it's Formal on a main AR. Like,
yeah.
Like their dynasty teams has always been Matt main AR. So I don't know, because before this weekend, the only team they lost to was Florida. Like they beat everybody else. They won the tournament they went to. The only team they lost to was Florida. They've lost one match on LAN with Matt as a main AR.
I'd love to know the reasoning. When I saw that, I'm like, why? Like why? I don't know.
Well, no, you can go. You can go.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say like the thing is though is like they've only lost one match on LAN with Formal as an AR, but I just feel like the way scrims go, like I don't know their scrims. I know they stream them all the time, but obviously I don't watch them and know like their map counts and stuff. But if you're not having a good series of scrims, like say you have 2 or 3 bad weeks like straight where like you're just not playing well in Hardpoint, like when does it get to a point where you want to do a role switch? You know what I'm saying? Even though like, yeah, you won this event and you only lost to Florida, it's just like after a few weeks of scrims, like everyone knows deep down inside, like obviously map count and scrims doesn't matter, but if you go 5 days with just losing every map or playing bad, like there's an issue. And like maybe like they thought like that's like what they need to change it up. Like I don't know, but that's kind of like what I'm guessing is just bad scrims, and it's just like maybe we need to change something. Like it's just not working anymore. I don't know.
You guys could speak to this better than me, obviously, but like, all right, they knew it was going to an online league, right?
Mm-hmm.
We knew that they were all in Dallas, except for Formal was in LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
What position would you rather play if you were worried about latency? Like you'd rather play AR, right, than meet a cracked sub running around? Or am I blasted?
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean
AR.
latency wise, I mean I would probably rather do an AR, but at the same time, like
That was my first thought. I'd rather be
Yeah.
AR, 100%.
Well, I don't even know. Okay, so
Which is
I'm
why
just
fucking
gonna I'm
timing's
gonna theory craft here. Say you're
Okay.
having issues in Hardpoint,
Mhm.
right? Maybe a lot of those main issues is like Envoy sort of the only one rotating type thing. Please tell me if I'm wrong. It feels like, based on what we've watched, the people rotating for the most part are one or two of your subs, right? Like that's what COD has sort of switched to. It started as like the anchor and the AR,
Yeah.
but then like those rotation gunfights are so close all the time. It turned into some machine gun players. If I had Matt on the map and I see what everybody else is doing, if you look at the successful teams, their main AR is dropping a 1.2 to a 1.3. And I know Matt wasn't getting that, but I don't really understand why. Like, I would just be telling Matt, do whatever you want. Just laser people.
Like stat, dude.
Stats. Literally stats. Like, that is what Octane is doing,
Yeah.
Wuskin is doing. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like that. That would be the easiest thing for me to say. Like, just laser with a main AR. Do whatever you wanted to do. And let Alec and Envoy, who are super individually smart and intelligent people, talented people, worry about rotations. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I'm gonna have to watch more of their scrims.
I'm gonna bring up some stats too. Chicago S&D Envoy 1.62, Arcides 0.95, Formal 0.75, 0.7 from Gunless, 0.71 from Seth. Like Envoy is just like trying to keep them in the game, and he had like a really we talked about it a little bit, but like Petro, man, that's his Envoy's map, bro. Like it doesn't matter the mode or the situation, the guy's always going off on it. But like I don't know, those aren't super great stats that are like glaring to me. Like when you have 3 people in S&D that low, that like what's the issue there? Again, so many people are going to just do the online cop out, which is going to be annoying for any sort of point we bring up on this. And then another one, we talked about Florida's Respawn. Their Dom stats are nuts. If you guys look at the like the kills and the KDs and everything for Dom, they were absolutely smoking people. Like multiple people dropping 1.4s.
Dude,
like
the most impressive thing they did when Joe and I casted them play Petro, and you know how we always talk about Petro? Petro's a shit show. Petro almost always is a fucking shit show.
It really is.
It wasn't a shit show. They just locked it. They locked it up the whole game. Won by like 80. It was like the first time. I think it was the first time ever this year. Joe and I casted Petro. I was like, that all made sense.
Everything's great. They had people spawn trap. They had 3 caps in the final. I'm like, this is done. Like, 2.5 minutes left. Clint and I started talking about the next map. Legitimately, we're like, there's nothing else to talk about.
It was
game was
over.
over.
Like one of the most dominant doms I've seen on a map like Petro. Because it's just like flip, change. They just locked them the fuck up.
And that's why I want to make the point. Like they know something. That's not because they're playing on dedicated servers. Like when they're able to do that against multiple teams on multiple matches, like they're doing something, and it's not just one player taking over. It's like 3 or 4 of them putting up insane stats. Like they're doing these things as a team. So like, there's people are gonna like keep making excuses because of the situation that the CDL is in. But there are takeaways. Like there's solid information here to be grabbed, and like I'm gonna just keep laughing at these teams that don't pick up on these things that are glaring that you can go watch and figure out why they're doing it. And I'm probably just gonna keep making fun of them on this podcast. And like if they're just gonna sit there and be like, there's certain people doing things right, and you can't just blame it on online all the time. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and for all we know, that's the only win they're gonna have. Mutineers are gonna have, and they're gonna be asked if we get back to land. For who knows? Maybe online is a bigger thing, but like this is what we have for now. Like I don't know. We have to.
The point is like they're able to do it consistently. Like figure out why it was working for them, and like make it a positive thing instead of just being like, wow, there's such jokes online. This is so stupid. Like they're not gonna win ever again. Like that's not a good takeaway from the home series. Like there's some good info when you look at the data. So we'll see.
Also, they got to a grand final already.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Wait, Chris, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, the online, the LAN thing. Florida got to a final in the LAN, like on LAN too. Like it's not like, you know what I mean? Like This is not some crazy case where all Florida goes from 8th to 1st in the next homestand they play. You know what I mean? Like they also played very well. Like I didn't think the online results really changed much of what you would have predicted on LAN, to be honest.
Rocker's been to a final. Florida had been to a final. Huntsmen have already been upset on LAN. Seattle losing fucking game 5s.
Yeah,
losing
but
dude, it was the same shit as on LAN. Like almost
but were the
everything that
top 4
happened was the same
teams?
thing.
The top 4 teams were Dallas, Chicago, Florida, and Rokkr, right?
Yep.
Those are 4 teams that have seen a final or won an event.
People are acting like
that's what I'm saying. Like they
weren't.
That's what I mean. Like I don't think it's that crazy. That's not like anything against other teams. You know, like other teams obviously just have to figure it out and get on the same page and get the teamwork down. Like that's the whole point of obviously grinding and progressing. But like in general, when it comes to the results, like strictly from that point of view, like I don't know, nothing really was that crazy. Like obviously, like it's single elim, so getting 4th place is maybe 1 map away from being in the final. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not crazy that like the 4 teams were the 4 teams that have already been there before, and then the 4 teams that struggled have been the 4 teams that haven't done anything significant yet. You know, I don't know. Like I feel like that's pretty normal. I feel like there is no cop out, is what I'm getting at. Like if you do bad, you do bad. You just gotta get better for the next time. Like that's all you really can say.
We'll talk more about it later. Like I know servers weren't ideal, and I know
of course,
I know it sucks. I know it's frustrating. I get it, but like.
Of course not. Of course, there's going to be bad servers. Like every once in a while.
Crazy though. Like they really were all that crazy.
And on that side of things, I totally understand that side of the argument. Like obviously, you want things to be better and more for the competitive side.
The
like
players
of course,
expect
but
a good playing environment.
that's deserved. That's not even expect. That's deserved, and that's how it should be. But at the same time, like you don't go from 8th to 1st or 1st to 8th on LAN. It's just not how it works. It never has really. It's just ever. Yeah, you have your outlier, here and there, but like, come on. And that's why it's like I really don't see that as a huge cop out. It just never worked like that. I just feel like people just overrate that so much. I don't know. It's lame.
I think they're just frustrated. I get it.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
No, I get that. Definitely get that. That's why I'm not going on like how like people like I understand that, and it's a deserved environment. You don't want to have to deal with lag. Like it's at this point at the professional and at the level it's at, unacceptable. I agree, but like at the same time, there's usually more to the reason of why like there's struggles. So that's why that you don't really have a cop out for that, in my opinion.
Should we move on to I don't know, the 4th best team, top 4?
Because I'm just curious. So we all is my webcam all?
Yeah, it's like out of focus for a second.
There we go. So I think we would all agree going into this weekend, we thought we basically knew the top 4, right? We had FaZe, Huntsmen, Empire, then Rokkr. Did we all agree on Rokkr going into this? I mean, that was pretty much a lock, right?
Yeah.
But Joe and I've kind of talked about it a lot. It's like, I guess one of those, everyone convinced that Florida is now the 4th best team. For me, I am because if you look at the resumes versus Rokkr, which I think is the argument here, they both they both went to 2 finals, but there's one. If you talk about beating top teams, Rocker's beaten FaZe, but now Florida's beaten Huntsmen twice.
Rocker's beaten Dallas as well. Dallas and FaZe.
Okay, Rocker's beat Dallas and FaZe. But I think the big thing for me, I think maybe if Rokkr didn't get to the final and Florida won, maybe it'd be less convincing for me. But the fact that they had beat Rokkr to win, I think sort of solidified it for me. I mean, it's close. I think you could argue either way. But for me, I don't know. I'm Mutineers are your top 4 squad right now. Does anyone disagree?
I'm thinking, like, who's out? Like, who's out of the top 4?
Well, the only argument here is Rokkr. If you think Rokkr,
so Atlanta, Chicago, and Dallas are all top 4. They all have wins. All top 4. The 4th team would be Florida, or you respect Minnesota's resume where they got top 4 in Atlanta, right? They got 2nd and then 1st, where Florida has a 2nd and a 1st. They had double seconds. Florida has a 2nd and a 1st, and a 5th, 6th in Los Angeles. That's where the difference is. They didn't make one semifinal.
It's interesting.
Chris, are you convinced? Like I wonder. Like so I was so impressed with I think one of the most impressive things for me, I know Pharaoh was godlike with stats and Skies was incredible, but like I was really surprised to see Havoc kind of be that playmaker and like the small talk he had with calling kind of the pushes and rotations and making the big plays. Like it kind of surprised me because I've never known him to really be that player. But I guess, are you convinced that they can keep this up and even get better based on what they just did?
Yeah, in the sense of they remind me, like I know people have been kind of tweeting about it and stuff. They kind of remind me of like the Gen G
yeah.
of this game.
They're not even good at search yet. That's
but like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and in that sense, I'm not saying placings wise or anything of Gen G not being able to be the Titan. That's not what I'm implying. I'm literally just saying like Gen G. If you watch their gameplay last year, you bring it up, I'll analyze it. It's like they were very textbook and very, very teamwork oriented, and they were good at it. They were probably the best at it, to be honest. But they didn't have some of those like heavy hitters that they needed to, and like some like to step up in the slaying department here and there. I think we could all agree. But like they had their teamwork and the routes that you needed to take and the system of Call of Duty, like they played it and they played it well. And I think in this game, like I know people have like their mixed opinions on it, but this game can be so funky sometimes with like the spawns and other things where like you have to not let someone get behind you. The hell was that?
What was that?
We heard that, by the way.
Oh, why are you here?
Turn off your mixer thing. Your mixer. I was like, what is
Anyway,
okay.
Is it better now? Is it better now?
Yeah,
you're good. You're good. Anyway.
Why am I
But,
oh, there we go.
But what I was saying is like you have to like you really can't let someone get behind you and squad spawn behind you. Like you have to be really, really perfect and count heads where like if you're fundamentally playing the right way, no one's sneaking behind you and like you're ahead of the game, like that's gonna go a long way in this game just because of the way it is and how dominant some of the spawns are, right? Like you spawn in the back and you just never lose it, like sometimes. So I feel like teams like Rokkr and Florida are prevailing right now because of that. And I think that goes like for the consistency thing. Like, yeah, I think they'll be consistently around. I really do. Like that goes such a long way when it comes to Call of Duty before like winning and stuff. And that's why I think they'll be great.
Yeah.
Do you think their ceiling is higher than Rokkr? Like, what do you think of the like talent? Like Skies is so talented. Pharaoh, we know he can be kind of a freak. Do you think their ceiling is higher?
Man, that's tough because Rokkr has like a lot of Rokkr, like Goddard X, Asim, and Alex, in my opinion, like those three guys, I think have like a lot of crazy talent. And Silly and Assault have been playing good too. Like Assault played amazing. So like I don't know. Ceiling wise, I don't think the ceilings are like it's a tough question because it really comes down to Florida like learning search is better too. I think that's why their ceiling could be slightly a little bit higher right now.
Yeah,
just because they're not like complete yet, and they're still doing.
You
really
almost
well.
have to go like player by player, like in each role.
Yeah,
it's like
that's what I mean.
When you get down to that, it's like I think I might say yes. I brought up earlier, like I thought Florida was going to be a force if Mox and then I don't remember if I said Frosty or Havoc, but I said one of those.
I think it was Frosty.
I think it was Frosty too.
Yeah,
I said one of those players out of Frosty and Mox needs to not be ass for these guys to be a force. And what happened? Both of them stepped it up to a level that was like pretty damn good. Like Mox was way better than he was, and so like Frosty put up some pretty good numbers too. So
yeah, I don't even know if we've gotten the best of Frosty yet either.
I think he's still
I think he's sort of on the up. Like that's what's kind of scary.
I think so.
He's definitely on the up.
Like he's still learning. Like we talk about like Illy and Shotzi. Like Frosty's the same boat. Like he's very much still learning. I don't know if we've even seen the best of Frosty yet. So
it's a good point.
Now I sort of talk about it, I think I do kind of give it to Florida. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like who would be the counterpart on Minnesota from Frosty?
Asim.
Yeah.
So like who has a higher ceiling?
I'm an old Halo guy, so I would go Frosty.
Well, you know a lot. You know what Frosty's capable of in the sense of winning and being successful in another title.
I've just watched top Halo players switch, and I've watched Formal thrive. I've watched Enable thrive. If they put enough time into it and learn, like
enough people have done it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's something you have to kind of wait and see too. Yeah, that's just because you don't really know. Like you don't have any data on like Asim in another game as well. You don't know how successful he has been. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. That's a tough comparison. But I do see like I don't think Frosty's at his best yet. And that's like a good thing because he's playing well. Like he's still got like a lot to learn. I don't think he's peaked. Like I think he's definitely on the up. But it's what you said, Tyler, like in one of our first episodes, what you were just talking about. I'm pretty sure you said like specifically it was like you have Prestinni running ahead of you like a maniac, like engagement. Like Frosty or Mox have to start picking it up in the sense of baiting these guys. Like, you have Havoc and Prestinni in front of you, like you have to be getting the trade. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you said is like
Totally.
you have these two, and it's true, but they started doing it so far, so
yeah.
They've definitely played way better. And like that team's gonna rely, in my opinion, a lot on Mox and Frosty on like to stay consistent with like the young talent they have. Yeah.
Sky's been frying, bro.
Well, Skies is good. Even like last year, like Skies shoots straight. He can generate kills.
It's the same thing with Minnesota and GallerX. Like I don't think they listen. It is tough to tell somebody to go out there in every single game drop a 1.2. You have to know where you want to go. You have to know where the enemy team's spawning. You have to know, like, obviously you have to play correctly, right? You have to get yourselves out of like traps and whatnot. But I do think like that's what they're telling Skies and GallerX. It's like, dude, just literally slay the map out. Like that is like your job. I think Clay talked about it. He tweeted about it.
He did.
After, I don't remember, I think it was London. It was after they lost to Chicago. And he's like, I'm just not slaying well enough compared to other main ARs. And I think he tweeted about it where he's like, I need to play my own game. Basically, I need to play selfish more, right? Like in this game. So like, I think that's just what they're telling them. And the fact that he is doing it consistently, I don't think people realize how tough it is to do that. It's crazy to me how like good Skies is.
Good support system too. Like when you're able to put up stats like that, like they're on the same page, and it's very, very evident. It's cool to see.
I mean,
them.
they're on the same page, and I also think in this game specifically, like ARs have always been really, really important.
Yeah.
But I would like when I ran a main AR in World War II, I was definitely not my star. You know what I'm saying? I was not the formal of the team, and like we still got away with it winning a few like top threes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think in this game though, having like a strong AR is actually super, super important because like the way you can lock down lanes with the M4 is in this game is disgusting. Like it's just, I've just seen some of the best ARs do it, and it's just like you're such a presence on the map where usually you feel like those fast-paced people like being annoying in your face, like in traditional COD. I just feel like the AR in this game is like almost one of your most valued players, as weird as that sounds. Like if he's running it right and he's a presence on the map, putting spawn traps down and putting damage down.
I have a great transition to our next point.
Go for it.
Octane is that. They're not doing well. Clint, you want to make your little statement?
No, I said it out loud the other day to Joe, I think, and I was sort of trolling when I said it. But then once I said it, I thought that I might believe it. I said that I think Seattle Surge are becoming the most disappointing team in the history of Call of Duty esports. When you think about the fact that they have, in the GOAT conversation, Karma, Octane in his prime, Slacked Octane duo obviously has always done very well. Slacked will catch flack, but I think we all agree Slacked is one of the most underrated players in the history of COD. Like Slacked is a very, very good player. Yep. I know. The most underrated player. I know if you talk about like Karma and Apathy, they're not necessarily in the primes of their career, but just the brand alone. And I think fan expectation was probably higher for them than maybe experts' expectation, like us. Well, I maybe not maybe you three as the experts, but the expectation coming in versus what they are, like if they keep going this year like they are, imagine if they finish like bottom 2 or 3. Like I think that would be one of the most disappointing thing I've ever seen for a team, maybe ever. I can't think of like another.
So you and I talked about this. The problem with them, right, is they are so far behind. Plus, you have to make the argument to yourself that they are going to catch your Londons, your Parises. Is Optic still getting better? Is New York getting better, right? Like Chris talks a lot about New York. We still really haven't seen them. We don't even, like, are they even going to be top 8? Honestly, like, you have to tell yourself they're going to be better than your Parises and your Londons and your Optic Gaming LAs and your New Yorks. And I just don't think you can make the argument right now.
I probably right. This team, like, It drives me crazy, and like I know I'm gonna piss the players off, but whatever. Like I understand that I've just had a kid. I know that
Yeah,
has to be such a
100%.
life-changing moment. He dropped like a 0.73 or something, but the results overall was the same shit, right? Like game fives, lose 2 search and destroys. Like, it was the same stuff, even with that playing poorly. Like Octane probably picked up the slack in the slaying department, but I just can't get past the fact that I don't know if you guys saw the tweets, but after every event they've been knocked out, there's been something. You know, at the first event, yeah, I think it was complaining about spawns. The next event, they were talking about the fact that they had to wait 8 hours to play. The next event, there's not enough matches. There's been something this time. It's the online. Like, there's always something. There's just always something. I feel like they can't be focusing enough on improving internally and at the game if they always have an excuse every time they get knocked out. Like I can't help but feel if they could just shut the fuck up and focus on the team and getting better at the game, that they get better. Like their searches, they're what are they, 3-11? Like if they can just get a bit better in search. I know it's not easy, and sometimes teams are just bad at search. Like with that person, like, bad at search, but if they just improve in search, I think Karma tweeted the other day. Like if they just improve there, like they're in semifinals. They're maybe making a surprise run to a final. But like, how can you give? You can't convince me that you're 100% mentally in the right place to improve and get better if there's always instant you're knocked out, some sort of different excuse. It drives me nuts, man. I know they're frustrated because they're losing, and I get they're very competitive. And I'm someone that makes an excuse every time I die in Warzone, as you guys know. So like, I get it, but even for me, that's probably why I don't get better, because I just have an excuse every time I die. But I just feel like mentally, man, there is just a roadblock for this team, a fucking massive roadblock, and I hope they can get past it, because I think we love those players. I think we want to see that team improve, because if they improve, think about just the same thing with Optic. Like if Optic gets better, like how much more competitive the league is. If Seattle gets better, it's so much more competitive instantly.
The problem is that teams are making changes and they are like getting better, right? Like Florida got better. I think London's going to get better. I think New York's going to get better. I just that's what worries me. Like Optic, if they played the way they did in LA, they're better. There's teams making changes, and with those changes, like they're being motivated and whatnot. And I don't want to say like Pander's not the problem, but it almost felt like that change wasn't enough to get them like going. Like it almost felt like they needed maybe do they need another roster change? In which I think if you look at some of those pieces, like you can maybe like get a Prestinni on this team or something. I don't know. But it feels like they need a motor to like motivate them. Because right now something's not clicking. And it just sucks to watch, yeah.
Yeah, my personal take is I give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. I don't think Apathy's going to drop a 0.7 again. That sucks. Sure. It's an interesting situation. I give him one more. Like in my own head, you give him one more chance, and then like you're totally right. The proof is just there in front of you. Like other teams have made changes, whether it be a roster change or maybe potentially like a role change, and it's just like at what point is it you fall so far behind? It's like that's going to be so demotivating, right?
Clone Octane or something.
And I just don't know. And we were just talking about this. I just don't know. The thing that sucks is the issue is the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I think it is just past the point where I look at the organization and I just say, what is going on? Why aren't you improving in search? Is it the coaching staff? Is it the players? Do you need to fund and penalize players so they actually play it? I don't know. I have no idea. It's mind-blowing to me. I would cancel a respawn scrim and play searches or whatever, make more time from an organization point of view. Because I tell you what, if you look at this roster starting with Enable, because you had Enable and Octane from 100 Thieves, you had Apathy, Karma, like this was not a cheap roster. This probably is one of the highest salaried rosters, I would imagine, based off last year's results.
That adds into my point of most disappointing. I didn't even think about that. Like how much?
Yeah, based off of last year's like this is probably one of the more expensive rosters. How has the organization not stepped in and done something? That's what's crazy to me. I just don't understand how you can keep sucking at this game, Ed.
Crazy. I'm like trying to rack my brain.
Even their hardpoints bad.
We kind of had the situation in World War II where we had like a bad stretch of S&D. Granted, we had like different rosters throughout the time, but like we would lose in the same like ways, and we would spend a lot of time on it, and it seemed like things were improving, and then you'd get back to the match, and like it would happen, and it was so goddamn frustrating, and I would watch so much, and I don't know if it's like a mentality when you get into a match. I don't know, because like we would try different stuff, and then it would seem to improve, and then you get down to a 2v1 scenario, and something would go wrong, and I don't know. It's weird because like that's like the only thing from my coaching times like that. It seems similar to where like no matter what you do, you get put into the same situation, and all of a sudden, like I wonder is it a player? Is it coaching staff? Is it like who? I don't know who you hold accountable. We don't have enough information, but
yeah. But it's at the point now you just had to start asking questions. And I mean, Clint and I, we watched what was that? Artcloth Peak Search, the left bomb site from offense. They wouldn't throw anything at that bomb. Literally nothing. I forget who they were playing against, Clint. And do you remember that team would 4-stack that bomb site on defense? They saw no nades come over the top.
Rokkr.
They would wrap back to B, and they would just wait for them. And that to me is just like, that's a basic thing. You throw a smoke and a nade and a stun over, that's your constant, right? That's what we call them, like constants. That's every round, because what happens is you throw those nades and they're like, oh, well, they didn't hit it this time, but it keeps them honest. It makes sure those players that are there, they can't rotate yet. And then maybe you hit the other bomb site once or twice, and then you hit those smokes and nades, right? And you throw them off. They didn't do that like 3 search rounds in a row. They went to the same bomb site, threw absolutely nothing. Rokkr just rotated early and sat in the house, and they lost every single offense. And I was just like, how do you not throw at least one smoke, a stun, and a nade to keep them honest? It just feels like the basics are off from like a search side. I don't know, which to me tells me they aren't playing it. Like,
could be.
I don't know.
All we can do is speculate, and it like I feel like some people get mad, but like it's like, dude,
they can get mad.
Yeah, right. It's bad. It's bad.
Know, that's fine.
It's bad to watch.
If you are so angry at us making a podcast and talking about you losing because you're losing, like, I'm sorry. Like, it's the least of your worries.
Less concerned about whether they count as wins and if you're ever gonna win.
Right, exactly. Yeah. This doesn't count. Well,
alrighty. Well, Surge has more work to do. That's where we're gonna end that one. Now let's talk about things that need to improve going into these online homestands, home series. Sorry, before Maven bitches at me again. Home series.
Yeah, that's right.
There's obvious issues when it came to the broadcast, the long waits, the server issues, which obviously you guys have probably seen some choice tweets from players, your Crim6s of the world, right? So. Go into that a little bit.
I want to speak to I saw some jackass on Reddit call me, what do you say? I'm self-righteous or something. So when you're in my position, and I try to be I don't need to be, but I try to be a liaison for our CDL side and the players, because sometimes like PR can't say what they want to say, and I'll just fucking say it. You guys have no idea how much dumb horseshit I get tweeted a day when these events are going on. And yeah, sometimes I'll be a little sassy or something, but it just breaks me sometimes, just the amount of ignorant bullshit that I'll get tweeted. But like, just to break this down, this is sometimes it's just ignorance because people don't know how stuff works. But like, I just wish the community would have understood things a little bit better, and we would have maybe prepped them better. But like, so many people were just like, "Oh my god, go back to Black Ops 3. We've done online leagues before that are so much better. How are they making these simple mistakes?"
Why do they have this accent?
This is this could not have been more different than that online league. We have never done anything like this. Very few esports ever had. Like League of Legends is going through it right now, and I watched the first LEC broadcast. Some of the stuff, like, it was a shit show, and they improved for the next week, and there were so many problems. Like the difference is this: when we did like the online league for Black Ops 3, right? So yes, the players were playing online, but everything for the broadcast was in a studio. So like we were in a studio at ESL. You had a full production staff. All the commentators were there with all like the expensive gear. Like everyone was in the same spot. This is literally everybody in their fucking home, all over a cloud-based service, like working together. It was insane. And part of I can't speak to it too much, and I don't know enough about it. I'm just not tactical enough. But a lot of the problems, at least day one, it was just the new tech and stuff that they were trying to use. Like it was insane. Like how many, like Joe and I would have like 3 monitors up with like a program feed, which is what the stream is seeing, but it's like on a 10-second delay. So like when graphics were coming up, we'd have to like sort of react to them before they were actually going to come up for us. The audio, with everyone having different latency issues, different equipment in some spots. Like even when we did so many audio tests to make sure the 2 commentators were in queue, but then still there would be issues sometimes where you would hear it, like Miles and Momo kind of talking over each other. Like there were so many things. Like when everything is going through the cloud like that, like it was wild. Like we did rehearsals, Joe, what? Monday? Well, okay, so we had a lot of calls about it for weeks, but we did rehearsals Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all 4 days, right? For like hours, like the entire afternoon, just trying to test different stuff out, test different throws, because they didn't want this to be like an online broadcast where it was just the commentators like at ESL. Like they wanted to have the player camps, they wanted to have listen-ins, they wanted to have player interviews. Like we've never done shit like that for an online league. Like they wanted it all, and a lot of it was just, at least in my opinion, like it was kind of on the tech side, with partially with people, I think, getting used to certain situations that would pop up due to how it was being done, and maybe limitations to the tech in some way. I don't know exactly, but that's mostly what day one was. And I know it was frustrating. Trust me, I was getting frustrated. But dude, just some of the, you saw me tweet out there where I was basically just like, if you want to tweet this ignorant shit at me, just please do it so I can just block you. I was getting so pissed, man. Like, just be happy the CDL's back. Like, everyone's trying to put their best foot forward. Everyone's working their ass off. It's an unfortunate situation, but some of the shit I was seeing Friday, like, holy fuck. All right, I'm done ranting. Did I explain it well, Joe? I tried to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of moving parts, right? A lot of moving parts.
So many. Many.
Yeah, I mean, just I think Sunday's broadcast where we finished
it was smooth.
Was smooth, very smooth. I think we
better.
were probably about a half hour behind, and I think most of that, if not all of that, was due to game and players, because players were trying to find the right servers, good servers, whatever it is.
Saturday was fucked mostly. I think mostly with server stuff Saturday. It was mostly player lobby game. It was game side more than I thought it was like our side.
Sunday, I could say for sure it was 100%. It was, and we were about probably a half hour behind. So I would imagine going into, we have a week off this week. I'm sure they're going to be, fixing whatever they can up, and then we're back the following week. And I think it'll be like that. I mean, we were just rifling stuff off. So listen, I had no idea how the heck anybody was going to pull this off, but they did it. And it's pretty crazy that, like, kind of what Clint said, there isn't a missing piece. If you look at the LAN broadcast of this, there's not a missing piece.
It's crazy.
There's not one. There's not one missing.
That was the goal, to make it as close to the same as they could. Yes, there were
nothing different. There's nothing different. I mean, they could have gotten rid of some stuff and this and that, but they didn't. And yeah, so from the broadcast side of things, I was pretty happy with it. I knew there was going to be issues. I think Clint and I had to cast until Saturday or Sunday at 1 a.m. But
yeah,
you
guys were loopy.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, I'm in bed at 11 p.m.
It's all I can say is it's gonna get better. Like, I understand people being frustrated. I just hate like.
Well, I think the thing is people people don't care about the excuses. They just want the final product. They want the product that they saw that was probably close to Sunday, right? Like, they don't really they just tune in and they don't really care, and that's why they just type whatever, right? Like, the viewer's perspective, I was trying to watch the matches and like be involved on Friday and Saturday. I am extremely devout Call of Duty guy and always will be. It was hard for me to stay focused, and I like that means something. Like, I don't want it to feel like a chore for people to watch. That's not acceptable. But the improvement over towards Sunday was phenomenal, and like, it just is so important that there's no issues on Friday of this next one, right? Like, there can't be like a a crazy delay. There can't be these audio issues. When I was watching, I felt like I was getting absolutely just slammed with ads with no content going on. And after a while, after sitting there for an hour or two, I'm just like, dude, I don't feel like watching dragons, over and over. Like, it's like, I get it, man. So like, I like the improvement. There's so many moving parts. It's impressive, the fact that they're able to pull all this stuff off via cloud-based. I don't know anything about that stuff. If Friday happens and it's tough. It was a tough viewing experience. Sunday wasn't that bad. So.
And just so you know, like if you guys want to tweet us, like it's stuff like, hey, the audio's out of whack, or hey, like let us know stuff's going on, or tweet feedback, like that's fine. It's more the people that are just like, a child could do this, $300 million league, fuck you.
It's
like,
when the
like,
attitude comes out.
Yeah,
like, come on.
That's annoying.
It's just
unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so we kind of
server side.
Yeah, server
That's
side.
probably the only other thing.
Server side.
Uh-huh.
So when you guys were casting, like, how was it for you? Like, did you notice like noticeable spikes and
what's the first thing you think of, Joe?
I call it a
Aqua?
specialist.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
it was the art club, right?
Our club native.
That's what
Aqua
I
hit
did.
himself. I mean, the server lagged.
Yes,
I was
yes.
like, well,
They were like, oh shit.
boom, blew himself up.
it's bad.
So I guess the easiest thing for people who might not know, like they already tried dedicated servers. What's the point? It's to put players on, like, not, I wouldn't say equal, but as close as equal as you can. Because if you look at past online leagues, especially where we're at now, every team for the most part is in a team house, a team facility. Hosting would be extremely powerful. If you had a Florida versus LA, for example, that team hosting would probably win 95% of the time. It is that big of a difference, right? Like, Chris and TeeP, you could probably agree.
100%.
If you were hosting, like, you could kind of do a lot more. So
it's one thing when it's one person hosting. It's when it's a whole,
right. It's a whole team. Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Those hosts are not fair. Yeah, that's not like a in between. Yeah, if that was allowed, it'd be impossible. Yeah.
Do we know? Do we know if they're physical or cloud based?
Couldn't tell you.
We don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were a thing until the announcement came out, and they're like, "We have dedicated servers."
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess they weren't performing very well. I don't know really many details on that side. What I do know is, like, leading up into it, I think, which is what Chris was talking about on previous episodes. The previous episode was staff was testing it. They were testing scrims on them. I don't think there were many issues.
Well, they weren't. Okay, it was still online, but like they weren't. It wasn't what we had this weekend, from what I've heard. Like, it wasn't.
right.
Because last episode I said that the servers were really good, and when we scrimmed on them, like, obviously you saw some pros respond and say like, yeah, like they weren't pinging like 40 to 60, and it was a little bit worse. Like, I don't think anyone that I knew were saying that they pinged over 100, but regardless of the pings, there was not actual lag. That, like, correct. You know what I'm saying? They like, there's a difference between like you pinging 60 and this guy pinging 85 and being like, that's not fair. Like, that's
all over the place.
Then yeah, not being able to play the game. Like, that's a totally different story. Yeah. And that's where keep going.
I don't know, because we play Warzone. For the most part, we play early morning to afternoon. We don't really have many issues. Maybe towards the end of the streams, like, we've ran into some issues, but the last like week or two at night, I guess, have been not great. In the similar lag and in packet loss and that. My theory is, like, it's affecting the entire systems. Like, there's so many probably players. It's overpopulated. How would it not affect every single server?
If it's on the same club, if it's on the same club as saying, we have no idea. But
I am just theory.
You and I talked about this like a week ago.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
It makes sense.
But the thing is, and like, I almost, like, yes, you would blame Activision, I suppose, but like, I almost have trouble with it, because this is how I see it going, and I could be way off base, but they have this game coming out, right? They have so many people on their analysis, data team, analytics team, whatever. They can probably project pretty well how many people are going to play the game. They probably have a pretty good idea, at least, like, what their servers are going to be able to handle. Global pandemic hits. I'd be willing to bet that the numbers are okay, maybe double's not. 50 million people have played the goddamn game. I do not think if it wasn't for if the quarantine wasn't happening, it would not be that number. I don't know if it'd be close to that number. Maybe half of that number. I have no idea, but I am guessing it was way higher than they were prepared for. Which could be bullshit, but that's just the way I see it. Is their servers are getting hammered, and if they are tied, if it is all in the same, I don't know if they use Amazon or Google or whatever cloud-based thing they use. Maybe they are linked, and if they are, I don't know what the solve is, but I hope they figure out something, whether it's physical dedicated servers or I hope they fix it.
You just go back to Teams hosting? I don't know.
That's where I
don't neutral hosts.
Neutrals. So like, here's my thought. Like, they tested these things. They were good. They were good enough. They went through with it. They used it. We had these issues, right? They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do to try and make sure they're more stable. What's the next backup plan? Let's say we get to the next home series. We get into a game or two. The same thing starts to happen with the dedicated servers. That you can't just keep playing on them, right? Like, what's the fallback? Do you get people neutral hosting from each region? You get a west, a central, an east. Like, what do you guys think the next best option would be? Because like, you would think the people behind the scenes got to think about what's. I mean, what do you do, right?
From like a competition, like that would be so. It would have to first of all just be like people who trust, but then like even then like, but if they're power like, for me the backup plan would have to be old school
hosting.
It would have to be Teams host. I just don't. Like, it wouldn't be. It would be hilarious to watch, especially with everybody like so split as they are. But like, I don't know the other option. Because say there's a crazy game and the host drops and it's the neutral, like what are you supposed to do?
Okay, so you say like let's say dedicated servers are still choppy, they're a mess, unplayable. You don't feel comfortable getting neutrals because you're just relying on people, random people essentially, right? So then you go to that one for people that haven't followed Call of Duty for a long time, like the way online hosting would work in like a best of 5 series, for example, is like the higher seeded team would usually pick like maps 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 to host. The other team would get 2, 3, 5 or 2, 4, 5. So like one team gets the double respawn host, and that's sort of your quote unquote advantage, right? So it's like, I guess my thought would be like, what if the opposing team picked the person to host on the other team? You guys get what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know. It kind of, that point doesn't really matter as much if you're all in the same area, but I don't know. Like, let the players choose their fate. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you do, right? It's a tough situation to be in. Ideally, we have these dedicated servers work in I don't know where the dedicated servers are located either. So I don't have enough information to like make good claims on this, but like, if a team's playing on a San Francisco Dedi that when they shouldn't be, when there's a better one, like, I don't know like what this process is going on, but like the players aren't happy about it. Like, what's going to be done if this doesn't work again? Like, I don't know. They probably can't talk about any of this and can't give good information on it. But like, dude,
I mean, Clinton, I don't even know. I don't even know the process.
No, that's why. Yeah,
I don't think they probably don't even want to tell us because
it's a problem though. Like the pros can't be getting these crazy packet loss. Aqua nated himself in S&D round. Like, this is a big deal. Like, what do you do? I don't know. Yeah. I feel bad for the players, and it's got to be just so frustrating because. It's a difficult situation. I just hope it improves. Like, improvement is the biggest thing we need to see. What are the steps that they're going to take to improve?
Yes, that's the part. Like, at least like I know I have a grasp on the production side. Like, I know how they're going to work to improve stuff. I mean, if there's issues with like latency and certain things to the production side, then there's some things that are out of control at times. But the server side, I have no idea. I have no idea. I wish.
That's what people want, right? They want transparency. And like, what, as long as people feel like, and it probably happens for like the pros too, they just like, is an attempt being made like that they can talk about? I feel like that's important because like these pro players, their careers, like almost livelihoods in a sense in terms of success.
In my mind,
it's big stuff.
These 2 weeks, in my mind, these 2 weeks, that's probably the most important part. It just
has to be, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the players and owners of these franchises are losing their minds. Yeah. Which I don't know. We all want it to improve, obviously.
Yeah.
Just if it means I see less bitching. But no, I know it's so frustrating.
There's people that tweet me all the time, and Paris and London guys there in America, by the way.
Yeah.
Paris is in LA.
It's just like
People are like, what's the latency?
I just want it to be better. I don't know. I guess I knew there'd be some issues with this first weekend. It's a big transition, whether it's the servers, whether it's the production. But first of all, I'm just happy to have it back, man. And like, I guess I just think, even with all the frustrations, like, I don't want to be too dramatic here, but like we know the state of the world right now. Like, unemployment is at the highest it's been since the Great Depression. It is a fucked up world right now with everything going on. And part of me thinks some of the fans and players should see it as a win that we have anything at all. That everybody has jobs and the competition is back and there's a league still going on. And appreciate that, because I think a lot of us, even like Joe, for you and I, like I know I am so thankful that we are doing this online and we still have jobs, because we could be like one of the millions that have been fired. And it's just, I don't know. I guess I just wish people were less tone deaf sometimes. They could see how good we have it, because we are one of the few industries that, if anything, is doing better in some ways, like just video games in general, versus like a lot of industries which are getting torched.
This is worse. Just to like chime in, like, I almost feel like guilty sometimes. Yeah, I don't know if you guys get the same feeling.
No,
like,
I get it. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, us four, for example.
Stream more.
Like,
so,
you know,
okay.
yeah, this like, it like makes you want to like do more. You're totally right. It's like a higher level thing that people need to think about. You can continue your point. Sorry to chime in.
No, you're good. It's just, I don't want to be like too dramatic. It's just
Made me cry.
People don't get like how lucky they are sometimes. Like, some of the stuff I'll see, some of the bitching I'll see, and some of the comments I'll see, like, be thankful you're still getting your paycheck. Be thankful you still get to compete. Be thankful you still get to watch this. You don't have regular sports on TV anymore. You're missing the NBA. You're missing all of this. You're still gonna have the CDL. Is it perfect? No, but it's there. When there are a lot of things around the world that are not. You ready to cry now, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's good. It's
I
like great points.
I full-heartedly agree. I mean, you guys, like, I don't want to go too far into it, but yeah, like I totally just feel like right now the way I view things is just like things could just be so much worse, and there's just so much more going on. Where like I like things that doesn't, like, that's not necessarily an excuse for this to be like, just accept whatever you got. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously you're gonna want to push forward, but like,
certain standards. Yeah,
that's what I mean. But you also have to keep that in mind in the back of your head. Like, but yeah, like, players do deserve, I said this earlier in the podcast, like, posts that don't lag. You know, like, that's something you can avoid. You know, like, there's definitely things you can do. I guess to the original topic of this like conversation, I feel like you would have to get people to like somehow qualify with like live speed tests or something of the sort, of like people that qualify with the league or something, like maybe go through some sort of test or like proof that you have good internet, like 1,000 like 1 gig, and then have like a few people like per team, like in Central, West, or East. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, but like, that's still crazy. But like, I would rather that be attempted before you start letting teams host from LA to Toronto.
That's what I'm saying.
Just stupid.
There's options, man.
I just don't know if you do. Like, what if the guy's a huge Huntsman fan?
But
what are you supposed to do?
You have to find like something to work around that.
There's got to be a way to vet these people.
If
I've got 1,000 over 1,000 in Dallas, bro. I've got 1,000 over 1,000 in Dallas. I'll host every fucking screen.
Host the league, man.
But seriously, like, even something like that, like maybe not someone like picked by the teams, obviously, but like just like people that like you can trust, like more trustworthy people. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I just feel like watching a team play, like New York and LA, for example, or LA and Toronto, watching these guys play each other would just be dumb. That's when online would actually be an excuse, because like then you would be loading in the hard points if Florida played LA or New York played in LA, and like it would be stupid. My team has hosted 5 Atlanta before. Like we've played on like 5 Texas. Like that's when it becomes a little bit more lopsided. If there's a neutral host involved, everything I say about online, usually it's a lot more in your head, and you're like kind of using that as a cop out. Those is when it actually matters. A team of 5 pro players on the same internet across the country, a team picking 120. It's just that's when the league would just be a joke. So that I hope it doesn't go there.
I don't think that'll be a thing.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Hopefully we can see some improvement. You guys got anything else? We think we're good.
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm just happy we're back.
It's a good conversation. Hey, CDL is back, man. I enjoyed watching the matches. It's good to see these teams getting back after it. And I guess right before at the end of the episode, I never showed the points graphic before, so I'm going to just throw that up real quick and just give everyone a little refresh of where everyone's standing in terms of points, because that's pretty damn important as we go into the later part of the year. Throwing up the CDL points after the Dallas home series. We got Chicago Huntsmen at 110 up top in first place. It's a big old tie for second. 100, 100, 100 for Dallas Empire, Florida Mutineers, and Minnesota Rokkr. Fifth is going to be FaZe at 90, Paris Legion at 60, and then all the other teams on the bottom half I don't feel like talking about right now. You can see them up on the screen there if you're watching on YouTube. That's going to do it for the episode today, though. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. Well, might as well prep people. So we have a week off schedule until the next event, right? 'Cause Chicago's not for 2 weeks.
Well, it's not this week, it's the weekend after, yeah.
Yes, I'm saying. So, like, we can let viewers know. Like, are we doing an episode next week? If so, what should we talk about?
It would be the Chicago prep.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the following week, the Chicago prep?
No, this weekend's nothing. We do our usual episode, which would lead into the weekend.
Yes.
Clint,
and then
good?
next week we
Clint's
would do
tired,
the Chicago prep. Then Chicago would happen, and then we do that. Wait, what?
So, Clint, Chicago is April 24th through 26th. It is the 15th. So next week, a week from now, will be the 22nd. That'd be 2 days before the 24th, which is when we air.
Clint's gone.
That's when that episode will be.
Guys, there's going to be an episode next week. We're going to talk up and give our predictions for the Chicago home series. Thank you guys as always for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure you guys check it out on our streams every single day. And we'll see you on the next episode, guys. Have a good one.